It began as a joke, or at least that's what I believed. Sarah, my wife, wore that mischievous smile I knew so well, the one that usually meant she was teasing. But this time, her words carried a strange weight I hadn't expected. "Take my husband," she said with a laugh, glancing toward our younger neighbor, Kyle. I froze, uncertain whether to laugh with her or ask if she'd lost her mind. To my surprise, Kyle didn't just smirk or wave it off. He smiled a slow, knowing smile and said, "If you insist." We'd been married 7 years, and Sarah had always been playful. Teasing came naturally to her, and most of the time, it was harmless fun, or so I thought. But that night, the air felt different. There was a charge in it, an attention I hadn't felt before. Kyle was 25, confident, and effortlessly charming, the kind of man who made everyone feel seen. But he wasn't just observant. He noticed things, every glance, every subtle shift, and it hit me suddenly that he'd noticed me noticing him. The evening had started innocently enough. Just a few friends at our place, some drinks, laughter, and easy conversation. People drifted in and out. But as the night went on, I couldn't ignore the undercurrent between Sarah and Kyle. Every time she glanced his way or brushed his arm, something inside me twisted. At first, I told myself it was nothing, just her usual humor, just another one of her harmless jokes. But as the evening progressed, those jokes grew sharper, riskier, and Kyle matched her word for word. By the time the party was in full swing, the tension between them was unmistakable, like a storm gathering overhead. The tone of conversation shifted. Small talk turned personal. Kyle's questions dug deeper, curious, deliberate, and his gaze lingered too long. Sarah's laughter came quicker, brighter, her energy almost electric. Then came the moment that changed everything. She leaned close, whispered something in his ear, and I heard every word. "You could have me tonight if you wanted." My heart sank, not just from jealousy, but from disbelief. I thought I knew my wife. I thought I understood our marriage. I thought we had boundaries. But now, I watched one being crossed with ease, as if it had never existed at all. I didn't react right away. Instead, I watched. I observed. And in that silence, the truth became clear. This wasn't a game anymore. This was temptation, raw, deliberate, and real. The laughter around us faded into background noise. My chest tightened, but I stayed composed. I'd learned long ago that impulsive reactions only make things worse. So I waited to see the full picture, to understand what Sarah and Kyle were doing before deciding what to do myself. Kyle leaned closer, his hand brushing hers, testing the line. She didn't pull away. Her eyes sparkled with mischief, and something deeper, a spark of rebellion. Memories of our marriage flashed through my mind, our promises, the trust we built, and I realized how fragile that trust really was when faced with desire, curiosity, and someone who knew how to provoke it. Most of the guests didn't notice what was happening. They chatted, laughed, completely unaware. But I saw it. The quiet signals, the secret glances, the way Sarah's laughter changed when Kyle spoke. It was a dance, a dangerous, magnetic dance I'd been unwillingly pulled into. And yet, I couldn't look away. Then came the moment that ended all pretense. Sarah leaned close again, whispering something I couldn't hear. But the look on Kyle's face said everything. He smiled, that same deliberate smile, and took her hand. The tension between them was electric. I felt it from across the room. That's when I knew the joke was over. The thrill had turned real. And I was no longer just watching. I was part of the story being written, without my consent. My fists clenched, not from rage, but from sheer disbelief. Sarah had crossed a line I hadn't even realized existed until that moment. But beneath the shock, a strange clarity emerged. I could see everything for what it truly was. Kyle wasn't hiding. Sarah wasn't pretending. The truth stood right there in the open, stripping away every illusion I'd built about our marriage. By the time the night ended, one thing was certain. This wasn't a silly joke anymore. It was an awakening, a brutal revelation of desire, boundaries, and truth. And as I excused myself from the gathering, I knew life would never return to what it was. The next morning was eerily quiet. Sarah moved through her routine as if nothing had happened, pretending the previous night was just my imagination. But I knew better. Her avoidance, her silence, the hesitation in her voice, all of it told me everything I needed to know. Kyle had gone back to his place, but the shadow of that night lingered. It clung to the air between us. I sat at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, replaying every detail in my mind. Every glance, every whisper, every touch. It all meant something now. What once seemed like harmless fun had become something else entirely. A betrayal. And yet, in the middle of the heartbreak, there was a strange sense of understanding. I could see how easily choices could spiral, how carelessness could shatter something sacred. Later that day, I finally confronted her. No yelling, no accusations, just calm, steady questions. "Sarah," I asked quietly, "what really happened last night? Did you mean it, or was it just a joke?" She hesitated. I could see the conflict in her eyes, the guilt, the thrill, the regret. Her words came out halting, uncertain. She admitted to the flirting, the teasing, the way she let Kyle cross into a space that had once belonged only to us. And in that confession, the full truth hit me. It wasn't just temptation. It was choice. A conscious crossing of the line we'd once vowed to protect. I didn't shout. I didn't walk out in anger. I just listened and let the reality settle in. Because once trust is broken, it doesn't simply heal. What Sarah brushed off as just a joke had torn open something much deeper. By the end of that day, I knew what I had to do, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. The life I believed in, the marriage I'd fought for, it couldn't survive this. Her joke had shattered everything. And as I stepped outside that night, leaving behind the echoes of laughter, temptation, and betrayal, I understood something I hadn't before. Some lines, once crossed, can never be redrawn. And sometimes freedom and self-respect come at the highest cost.